We are back. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 117 of Green Bean's Jets Pod, the happiest place on earth. Yay! We did it. I'm glad you're here. Things are kind of calming down around Jetsville, right? We're calming down. We get to look around and see some things. We got some blurbs, and we'll talk about all that stuff. We got some Quinn and winning. Ooh, Quinn and winning. I like that. I like what just happened there. Quinn and Williams stuff to talk about. We also have some Ty Johnson goodies. We also have a little bit of Flight 23. You're looking at the only guy from the Talking Jets panel who didn't make it on the show. What do we make of that? We'll deconstruct that and its subsequent feelings in episode 117. In addition to that, we're going to talk about 3 players not named Aaron Rodgers that if they stay healthy, will be the reason that the Jets are catapulted from good to great, and we'll get into all that stuff in this episode. Before we do, I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. It's the off season, man. It can be the dark days. Yeah, real news is kind of fewer and farther between our scraps. We're scrounging around for little nuggets here and there, so we keep each other company. That's what we're going to do. Thank you to all who come here on YouTube. If you haven't yet, go ahead and give me some milk thumb loving. Give me some milk thumb action with that thumbs up button. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, it is greatly appreciated. It's the way that we grow here on YouTube. And to all of you folks out there in the audio realm, hello to you as well. If you got some time later, go ahead and consider giving me a review on there. That is greatly appreciated as well. Guys, it's the best to be able to do this with you all and to hang out and communicate and chat. Remember, years ago, we had nobody. We had each other. It was a couple people in high school, especially being Jets fans. And what about you guys out there in Iowa and New Zealand? I mean, how many times do you run into Jets fans? No, it's this. This is what makes it so good to be a Jets fan. Sure, other fans are on the web, but not like us. I am firmly convinced. I have perused for years. Everything out there pales in comparison to what is available to us. Jets, Twitter, Jets, YouTube, and on and on and on. We are the best, and I thank you for being here. I do want to remind you of the sponsor of this episode of Green Bean's Jets Pod. That is the one and only Manscaped. Manscaped, the finest in below-the-waist men's grooming. Now, did I tell you guys, I was in a store, more than one now, where I've seen previously highly regarded brands of trimmers, because I'm in the trimmer world, man. I hang out and I know what's up in the trimmer world with this beard. But now Manscaped has made such an impact on the whole sphere that they're naming their products things like the Manscaper. Come on, that's a bite if I've ever seen it. Why buy the biter when you can buy the pure, real thing at manscaped.com, whether it's the Lawnmower 4.0, the trimmer with the spotlight on it so you don't nick that special area that we're talking about. You got the lawnmower, you have the weed whacker, you have the brand new Beard Hedger Pro. Guys, the line is amazing. The balms, the oils, the shampoos, everything that you need, the colognes. It's all at manscaped.com, and you can save 20% off your entire order. Spend $1,000, you save $200. Look at that. You spend $100, you save $20. It's all relative, right? It's all relative. So you're going to save 20% by using the promo code GreenBean, and they will throw on free international shipping from them and me to you. Take that. Thank you, Manscaped, for sponsoring episode 117 of Green Bean's Jets Pod. Guys, as we know around here, we like to get started with using our number 17 to talk about a player in our player profile. Now, who could that possibly be? Who could it be? Now, for one more year, we get to talk. Next year, he'll be a different number, from what I'm hearing. And we'll have to talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about him again. But for this week, our player profile is the one, the only offensive rookie of the year, wide receiver Garrett Wilson, a guy that I got to tell you, I can't imagine being a Jets fan and not being completely in love with this guy. And I mean even deeper than maybe just player love. I mean, this guy is something else. The attitude, the work ethic, the drive, the moves. I mean, everything about him is utterly amazing. Not least of which, this guy comes from Columbus, Ohio. This guy went to school, obviously high school in Ohio, but went to Ohio State University. And his first game as a member of the New York Jets in Ohio, scored 2 touchdowns and screamed into the fan base obscenities. Screw you. That's right. Take that. Doing things like shh to his own people. That is a passionate football player. I'm telling you, everything about this guy is amazing. So we talked about him being the offensive rookie of the year. Well, how did he do that? What gets you? We all thought it was going to be Breece Hall, and maybe it would have been if Breece wasn't injured in the Denver game. So we got Garrett Wilson, who stole it from the rest of them. He said, "That's mine. I'm taking it." That's what he did, and we all cheered him on. Well, he had 83 receptions for 1,103 yards. Now, he actually had 1,107 yards from scrimmage. Did you know that? We all talk about the 1,103, but what about the other 4? Where'd they come from? Well, he actually got 4 rushes for 4 yards as well. So maybe receiving is a little bit better, but he did add a couple. You never know. He also had 56 first downs within that 1,100 yards and 83 receptions. He had 4 touchdowns. Now, this guy was on the field for 884 plays, which brought him to 79% of the offensive plays. Not too bad for a rookie. And that's how you win Rookie of the Year. He broke our rookie receiving records and all that jazz on top of it. And he is looked at as one of the main reasons that the New York Jets are considered a contender. In truth, he's probably one of the stronger reasons why a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers was willing to come here. Garrett Wilson is here. You're going to be able to toss the rock to this guy who had 10 broken tackles last year as well. And a lot of his yards, those yards that he made, they were him. He took an 8-yard pass and made it into a 30-yarder. He took a 15-yard reception and made it into a 55-yarder. That's the stuff that he does. Even beyond what we thought he was going to be able to do coming in here from Ohio State. He has looked every bit the part of a number 1 wide receiver. And I'm telling you, every single Jets fan has to love this guy. I can't buy his jersey. Look, all the guys who bought his jersey last year and the guys who bought his jersey, he's going to change his number. Oh, hey, what do? He said, hey, so you guys will be part of the OG crew. I think that's a nice spin. So all you guys wearing your G17 jerseys, you can wear it proudly even when he switches to the number 5. Because you'll be, in his words, the OGs, the guys who came in on the ground floor. And I'm with it. I'm still waiting on another player to get signed. We'll talk about him in just a minute so I can buy a jersey of a current player. I haven't purchased a jersey for a current player in a long time. Long time. When was the last one? I mean, it's a long time. Maybe a Chad? I wore a Chad. Yeah, maybe Chad. I think it might be. I bought a Sam Darnold for my son. Lesson learned, lesson reinforced with my philosophy there. But I think I wore a little Chad action. That's good. Anyway, Garrett Wilson, player profile for episode 117, and rightfully so, man. What a good guy to talk about. What a good guy to have on the team. You just know nobody's going to outwork him. Remember in the Cleveland game, I think it was a Cleveland game, he jumped up for a pass and he got pushed out of bounds and he landed on his back. Boom! Oh! And he rolled around for a minute. Generally speaking, in our history, what does that mean? That means he's out. He's done. This guy's we're going to miss 4, 5, 6 weeks. He's gone. This guy. Garrett Wilson got up, brushed off the trainer, get out of here, and was back in the game and got the winning touchdown. So, I mean, come on. Just that alone. Just that alone. So we have some news to discuss this week. We have some happenings, and let's talk about them in the news of the week. All right, so what should we start? Let's talk about Quinn Williams. Now, Quinn Williams, in case you didn't know, is the player that I'm considering purchasing that jersey. And I'll even do it from the Real Jets site. I'll do it the real one. I'll buy the good one. You know how they have a bunch of, like, you look at them, they're like, this one's this, it's $300. This one's this, it's $120. Why? They look the same? I don't care. I'll buy the good one. If this all happened. So contract stuff came out this last week, as we know by now. Quinn Williams said, I defensive tackle for ... Yeah. What does that mean? Well, then he took his name off or he took the Jet stuff off of his social media accounts. Yeah, that's not good. It's not a good look. Then he unfollowed the Jets. Oh my God, this is akin to changing your relationship status on Twitter. I'll show you we're really broken. I mean business, lady. Click, single. Ha-ha! That's the way it is these days. You know how it goes. You know, it doesn't really mean anything in my opinion. Here's the crux of everything. Quinn Williams wants to get paid. Quinn Williams earned the right to want to get paid. Right? He's arguably the best player on the entire team. Arguably. Now, you can make a case for other guys. You can make a case for Garrett Wilson. I mean, he's younger, has less data to support the cause in his case, right? But you can argue it. You can, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, I think that's in its own thing. It's his own little sphere up there. Aaron Rodgers, get out of here. We're talking. Obviously, you're the guy. Get out of here. We're trying to see who's next, right? But arguably the best player on the team, Quinn Williams, right? He had a fantastic year. He missed one game in the 2022 season, and we saw the difference in the defense. You saw it. It was as clear as day. His impact is undeniable. You could whittle the defense being this great thing that we all talk about now. You can whittle it all back to the Bengals game when Quinn Williams had enough and yelled at his defensive line coach, Coach Whitecotton, and got in his face and the whole thing. It looked grim. It looked like the Jets were falling apart. We weren't looking too good that game. Quinn Williams is losing his mind. What's going on? But everything changed at that moment. Everything settled down. And we are where we are. I think it's a leadership move. I mean, Quinn Williams has become a leader of the team. He's become an on-field presence, the likes of very few in the NFL for his position, and he wants to get paid. Now, why now? He's got a year on his contract, right? What is this crap? You still have a whole year left, man. Relax. Well, this is the thing. He's got no security after this year. So we know that. In the event something happens, you think the Jets are going to go, come on, we still got to pay the guy $25 million a year, right? No, he knows that. Not only that, this is where his value theoretically could be at its peak. Hopefully not, right? He's only 25 years old. He's hitting his prime. The whole thing, the whole idea, the whole hope behind this is that we're going to see the next 4 or 5 years of dominance from this guy. That's what we're hoping for. But there's no guarantee of anything. So Quinn Williams has a high value right now. This could be the contract. Even if he has a great couple years and kind of peters off and settles into, kind of a good guy average, this is the big contract. He's got to fight for this one. And you got to respect it. Now, I'm of the school of thought the Jets should have just signed him already. I'm a big fan of that. That said, they want to see what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. They got other things to think about. So they're doing all this stuff. What we're looking at is negotiation. It happens this way. Now, it's a little longer than maybe we'd hoped, for sure. I'm really hoping it doesn't leak into training camp. That would be a bunch of baloney. You got to get it done. That all said, the stuff online, going single on Facebook, it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's just the way that things are done. So we got to roll with it. But The way that we heard it this week, the Jets and Quinnen are not necessarily close. Now, that's the length of time, right? Quinnen wants more time. The Jets want a little less time. I don't know. We'll see if any of that's real. But Quinn Williams is going to be a Jet. He's going to be a Jet for the foreseeable future, and I'm going to be rocking a Quinn Williams jersey before you know it. You'll see. That's the one. That's the guy. I got all kinds of defensive. It seems to be like my theme. You know, I have a Klecko. I have a Gastineau. I have a Dennis Bird. Then I even leak back a little bit. I got a Mo Lewis. Like it's kind of that's what my deal is. I'm a defensive line guy. I guess that's the way it is. I guess I knew, you know. Just the way that it is. I love my defensive linemen. I love my linebackers. I want to kill somebody. That's what it is. That's football to me. So Quinnen, when you're signed, I'll buy your jersey. You're going to be a Jet. You know it. Everybody knows it. It's all good. But so next thing, we got Ty Johnson in the news this week. I made a little video about it, but let's talk about it here. Ty Johnson came out, threw a little bit of shade at the Jets organization, but I don't think it was the same type of shade as maybe a Jamal Adams type of shade. I think that Ty Johnson, what I'm gathering from his comments, and you can see there's a tweet out there with his comments, he says, look, I've had some dark days, man. He doesn't feel good about this whole situation. Now, we don't know all the details. We don't know what really happened, but what's being reported from Ty Johnson is he tore his pec working out, as they're probably required to do. So he's working out. He tore his chest muscle. And he tells the Jets, hey, this is what happened. He met with the team doctor. The doctor said, we recommend that you get surgery. You need to get that fixed. So he said, okay. In his words, he didn't think that he needed to really have surgery, but he did it. And the day after the procedure was complete, they cut him. Now, you guys know, if you've been hanging out with me for any length of time, I don't have any real ire toward Ty Johnson per se, but I don't really love depending on him. Fair enough? I mean, you know, we got lots of drops throughout the years. He's a really, really exciting player when he's on. Problem is he's not on all the time. And when he's on the field, sometimes he's great, sometimes he's not. And I don't love that. I just don't love it. I think there can be an upgrade. But they chose to re-sign him. So the way that this is all sitting, the way it looks is kind of maybe a little bit yucky. But we haven't heard anything from the Jets, at least as you know, at the time I'm recording this. So we'll see how it goes. Either way, it never feels good to have your players, former players, come out and say negative things. You want to just, you know, kind of embrace the positivity and roll forward without this kind of crap, you know. So who knows what happened. Either way, I can tell you this. I do feel for Ty Johnson. I think I would probably feel similarly. Like, hey, dude, you're the one who told me what happened. I get it, but we don't even know if that's the way it happened. It could just be his perception. You know the old saying, there's your story, there's my story, then there's the truth. It's probably something like that. So we'll see how it all goes. Again, never good to hear, but hey, look, let's wish Ty Johnson well. They did draft Israel Abanikanda at a Pitt in the draft this year. Everybody's all excited about him. So he looks like he's a potential upgrade nonetheless. So whether or not they bring Ty Johnson back or anything like that, it's probably slim chance, and we'll see how all that goes. So what else was it? Well, this was the week that they released Flight 23, the little one Jets Drive production that we all have come to love and look forward to. There was Flight 2022, Flight 2021. Now it's just Flight 23, I think. So they took off the 20. I don't need to say the 20. We don't need to do that anymore. So the thing is a lot of us were hoping that it was about the draft and all this kind of, and it was really largely focused on Aaron Rodgers. Now, in hindsight, of course it was focused on Aaron Rodgers. Again, we were all hoping to see something else, but we did get to see a little behind-the-scenes action, and we got to see a little bit of the thinking, you know, the response and all that sort of stuff about Aaron Rodgers and some other players. Like an example is Lazard, how they felt about Lazard when they were able to grab him in free agency. But I think the biggest news that comes out of this is the fact that I was not in it. What happened? They used everybody, man. You know why? I know why. It's because I'm old and it's ageism, and I think we should cause a revolt, Jets. Now, I know why. Because my reaction wasn't all that good. I even did, when I did it, I was really tired. I wanted to do some, and I didn't do the thing that Ryan and Matt and Boy Green and everybody else did. So good for you, Jets. You know what? It makes me think. It makes me think. It caused a little introspection, But I got like maybe, I don't know, a dozen DMs like, hey, what the F? I'm like, I hear you. My son said, Dad, you're not going to be happy. So why not? He goes, well, everybody's in it but you. I'm like, well, I'm happy for those guys. I'm happy for O'Leary. I'm happy for Ryan and my boys, right? Richie was in there. I heard Buffalo in there. All the guys. I mean, not everybody, of course, but a lot of them. And it's, a little bittersweet, but it is what it is, right? So I'm really happy that they use so many in this realm. Like, I love that the Jets do that. They're aware of the YouTube community, of the Twitter community. You saw they made that special about Jets Twitter. Rightfully so. Now, I thought there were some ominous absences, maybe, from that one. But I thought the people that they did use were worthy. I thought it was interesting. It was cool. And I like that the Jets do that. We have a robust fan base, man. We have a little bit of a quirky fan base, and dare I say, a little bit of an intense fan base, where other fan bases, they just don't rate in these categories. Sure, they love their team. Sure, passion is passion, but we're different. We're cut from a different cloth, and it's nice that the organization that we're also passionately behind, such fans of, take a second and look into this realm and say, you know what? These are great. Look at these. These guys are legit, man. Like, look at the reactions. Look what's going on. And I like that they include everybody. And if it's not me, it's not me. I've been on it. I was on One Jets Drive, remember? So who am I? Right? Who am I to be unhappy? I'm delighted that all my familiar faces, and they all got used. I think that's awesome. But anyway, that, as they say, is the news of the week. Lots of excitement. I got to say, watching Flight 23, I got pretty excited. I got excited about all this. Like, going through the offseason was difficult. Right? It was pretty difficult. It's slow. Like, all right, Derek Carr's in now. What's going on? We're going to wait for this Aaron Rodgers guy. He's in the dark. And all this. It's like, it's going through it on a daily basis can be difficult. At the same time, when you just look back, it's like, wow, what a crazy succession of events, right? Like, again, bringing in this guy, the Jets are flying over there. Oh my God, they're out there. You see Woody getting out of the car. They're meeting with Aaron Rodgers. Then he goes on Pat McAfee, and we don't know what the hell he's going to say. And he says his intention is to play for the Jets. It's all this stuff. When you just compress it and look at it, it's like, wow, all this happened. And we were right there. Again, being as intense as we are. Maybe we don't handle it so well during the process. The process is not our forte. That's not our forte. Just patience, allow the process. No! That's who we are. No, give me it! What are you talking about? That's who we are. So it's okay, but when you look at it with a little bit of hindsight, and granted, it's only a minute ago, but when you look back, it's an interesting succession of events, right? It's kind of crazy to think of what our fandom is really like. It's a very specific brand of fandom, and we got to see that. So I'm really excited for the season. And what it made me think of is, of course, we brought in Aaron Rodgers. Yes, we have guys like Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed and Quinn and all these guys to be excited about. But where does the rubber really meet the road? Which players, if they should turn the corner or stay around and play at the level that they can, could really catapult this team into greatness? And to take a little dive into that subject, that thought process, let's get into this week's Intelligent Gripe. Denzel Mims! I'm just kidding. Although I could make a case, I won't today, but I could make a case. he could have a major impact as well, even if it's as a role player, if he does whatever. Here I am. I'm talking about that. That's not the guy. So let's look. There are 3 players that really could be looked at as somewhat of X factors, right? Let's start with one who I think most Jets fans are already depending on. We're not even looking at him as a concern, but I think is vitally important that we see a return to health and full health. And that's one Elijah Vera Tucker. We saw burgeoning greatness out of this guy last year. I mean, not only was he a stud at right guard, for an offensive line that was really taking a second to gel. We had the George Fant. He was playing injured. We had Laken Tomlinson. He was not looking Laken Tomlinson-esque. And you had Connor McGovern, who was hit or miss, hot and cold. And you had AVT. And it was interesting to see this guy. He was just a stalwart. He was AVT. This guy's good. We know that. We get some injuries and we have to start bouncing him around. He's got to play left tackle. Fine. He's great at left tackle. He's got to play right tackle. He's great over at right tackle. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the same damn game that we lose Breece Hall, we lose AVT for the season. And it was a gut punch. It really was. What we're really hoping for with AVT is that he settles into his position, bouncing around. It's all well and good. But we'd like to see him play a position, get comfortable there, become fluid there, and just become the all-pro right guard that we all know he's got in him. If he can do that, what that does for the center of the offensive line, especially if we have a guy like Tippmann, who's a rookie, if he's going to come in, if he wins the job and beats out Connor McGovern, which I think he will, it's going to go a long way to having vet Laken Tomlinson and vet AVT on either one of his sides. Protecting Aaron Rodgers' face is going to be vitally important to seeing the potential greatness that this guy could bring to the organization. I mean, AVT is vitally important, but he's injured. Now, the good news, they say he's just about at full strength. They're talking about full practices in July and all that jazz, so that's great. Now, AVT, when asked the question of where they're going to, they're going to play him at tackle, they're going to do this, that, he said all of his reps so far and are looking like they're going to be at right guard. Robert Saleh came out and said, we believe he'd be, quote, a heck of a tackle, but he could be an all-pro guard. So that's what they want to do with him. I think it's smart. Just get the guy in his position. In a pinch, it's great to have that versatility, but having a guy at his position, let him become that position. I think that's going to go a long way. So AVT is number 1 out of the guys I think need to really be what we are expecting them to be in order for this team to be great. Having a rotating kind of right guard, revolving door type of thing is not going to do very well. No matter how good somebody comes in and plays, they're not going to be able to reach that potential that AVT has. And I think that's going to go a long way toward the success of Aaron Rodgers coming to New York, actually working out for us. So AVT is that guy. Now, who's number 2? Well, I just mentioned him. He's the guy who got injured the same damn day, the same game in Denver against Hackett's team. Our new offensive coordinator was the head coach of the Denver Broncos. His team, we lost AVT and Breece Hall, running back, the same damn game. That was brutal. We won the game. It was exciting. Breece Hall had a beautiful end-around touchdown in that game. It was gorgeous. Little did we know at the back end of it, we lost him for the year. So we're looking for him to come back. Now, we have Michael Carter on the roster, who, before we drafted Breece Hall, most Jets fans were totally fine with Michael Carter assuming the starting role in our running back room. Since then, he's had an up and down year last year, the whole Mike LaFleur thing. We don't really know the specifics, but he was not able to fill the void that Breece Hall left, whatever the reason. But he's still a damn good running back, and he's exciting to have on the roster, and I love Michael Carter. As far as personality goes, I just talked about how much I love Garrett Wilson. Michael Carter, for some different reasons, but equal if not greater as far as my appreciation for how they hold themselves and handle themselves. I love Michael Carter, and I think that, look, having one bad or a half bad year doesn't mean that he's done. I don't agree with that. Like a lot of Jets fans are kind of out on him. I'm not, and I think Michael Carter's going to be fine. But we have Michael Carter. We have Bam Knight, who showed some flashes as well. I don't think he's a starting caliber running back, or at least not just yet. But coming in, doing some things, very, very exciting guy, especially at depth. I think he's quality. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we drafted Izzy Abanikanda, and he's another one. So, mentioning Ty Johnson earlier, it is what it is. But I think, just without all the negative hearsay, this, that, or the other thing, I think Israel Abanikanda is more than likely an upgrade over him. So our running back room is very, very strong. But I don't think anybody that I mentioned has that upside, that potential to be great like Breece Hall. Breece Hall is a stud muffin extraordinaire, and we saw it. He's a game changer. We saw it in Green Bay. We saw it in Denver. We saw it in numerous games. He's a different breed of running back, and I think that if he's able to come back, another one injured, be able to come back and be healthy all year, we're going to see something that we haven't seen here in a while. Yeah, sure, I loved Chris Ivory. Loved him. But again, his problem, what was it? It wasn't his play. Speed was great. His willingness to run you over was great. Exciting guy. He was often injured. That was the big deal with Chris Ivory. And we ended up never seeing him really materialize into that great running back that he could have been, at least as far as his talent that he had, that he brought to the table. Breece Hall can do all that. He's got to stay healthy. Now, I don't want to take 1 year and label him injury prone, but coming back from that injury and kind of being the bell cow is going to really put some pressure on him. So it's going to be interesting. If AVT and Breece Hall can come back and be healthy, they add so much to this Aaron Rodgers influx. I don't think very many players really add that. Of course, we have the guys that were depending. We have a whole team, right? But specifically, AVT and Breece Hall, they're going to add some stuff that not every player can. Not every player can bring. If Breece Hall's on, he's going to bring a lot more than some of the other guys on the roster. If AVT's locked in, it's going to do a lot more for Aaron Rodgers and the running game than maybe a lot of other guys on the team. So who does that leave us with? We got a lot of options. A lot of options. I'm going to say it. Denzel! I'm just kidding. It's Denzel Mims' partner in a lot of ways. That's Makai Becton, the newly svelte Makai Becton, who just turned 24 years old. It seems like he's been around here forever. Not the case. This is his 4th year, so he's been here a minute. 2 of those years, we got to see him for what amounts to minutes. Minutes! Got injured. First game of 2021, they told us 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, it sucks, but we'll get him back. We ended up never getting him back. And then last year, he comes in and he lost a lot of weight very, very quickly. Maybe that Hollywood diet, who knows what it is. But we lost him for the year again last year. So a lot there. Look, maybe you're one of them. A lot of Jets fans are out on Makai Becton. Totally out on Makai Becton. The Jets shouldn't depend on him. Maybe they shouldn't. And maybe they're not. Especially if they have Dwayne Brown at left tackle. You drafted Carter Warren. You have Max Mitchell behind him at the right tackle. But Makai Becton is, I believe, it looks like they're really hoping that he comes in and he's one of those 2 starting tackles. More than likely, right tackle. If he does well there, they can move him over to the left side when Dwayne Brown leaves. But it's really going to change the entire offense if we get a fully healthy for 17 games Makai Becton. There is not a single tackle on the roster that brings what he can bring to this team. Now, why do you think the Jets might be excited about him? Well, you look. The year before, he had, the whole thing going on with his first child. He was down in Texas working out with Duke Manyweather and all that. And the Jets didn't really have eyes on. They didn't have hands on Makai Becton. Well, since last year when he ended up, re-injuring the knee, he decided to say, you know what, I'm just going to stay right here. I'm going to do what the team does. I'm watching my career slip away. The fan base is turning on me. And he stayed right with the Jets all year. He's lost upwards of 40, 50 pounds. They're looking at a 348 pound. That's the word I got. 348, 350. That's a big deal. They said that he ballooned up to near 400 pounds. So if he's at 350, that's 50 pounds. Now, we drafted him at 367, so you think, okay, playing at 365 is no big deal. But if he can get down to 350 that be his playing weight, man, oh man, is that going to be exciting? If we can see that mentality of wanting to drive dudes into the ground or into next week that Makai Becton brings, it's going to change the entire offense. It adds that anger, that violence to the offense that really nobody else can bring on the roster. So think about that. With AVT and Makai Becton on the right side, locking up, just kind of controlling that side of the ball. You bring in the young Tippmann over here. That helps Laken Tomlinson and Dwayne Brown, our vets over there on the left side. We could really have something here. AVT, Makai Becton, and Breece Hall, 3 injured guys in 2022. Come back in 2023. If they stay healthy, will have the most impact on the entire team to take what we've built and catapult it into true greatness. That's the way I see it. And that is the intelligent gripe. I'll tell you what, man, between you and me, if those 3 guys can stay, think about it. If we have those, even last year, if we had those 3 guys on it, you don't think we could have gotten that one game to get into the playoffs? Come on. Come on. We would have been a playoff team. Who knows? We get into the playoffs. Joe Flacco goes nuts. He just wakes up. Holy shit, I'm in the playoffs again. Who knows? Anything can. You need to get in the playoffs. Once you're in, anything can happen. We've seen it time and time again. That's all we need. That's all we need. That's all we need. So, guys, I want to thank you for stopping by. It's exciting. This is an exciting time. We relax a little bit before training camp, and we get to watch our young dudes mix and mingle with our little bit less young dudes and the aged vets, the CJ Mosleys, the Dwayne Browns of the world. And we get to watch this team meld around Aaron Mother effing Rodgers. It's exciting stuff. Guys, I hope you have a great rest of your Monday and the rest of the week for all that matter. With all that said, have a great day and go Jets.